Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. When Uhuru Kenyatta called out his former deputy William Ruto on how he's using untested methods to erode the gains the country has made, it was a set-out trap. And in this podcast, I will explain to you why DCP MPs have resolved in a critical meeting not to attack former President Uhuru Kenyatta. And before get deep into those details, I want to humbly request you to take 1 minute and support our mission project to support the mother of three, Mary, here in Egerton. I'm still shooting in Egerton. And we are here to build a house to Mama Mary. Mary left this country to go and work in Saudi Arabia. But things took a different turn when she was thrown from the third floor of the building where they used to work. She fell down and broke her spinal cord. And the mother who had left to go look for better fortunes came back in a wheelchair. And when she came back, the husband disowned her. So Mary was stranded without a strong support system with the children and the bills to cover. She's been depending on well-wishers even to get what to eat and even support her get her needs. So currently she's actually stranded. That is why we resolved and we came here when her case was presented to us so that we can build a house for Mary. Thank you very much for supporting us so far. We started this project on Thursday and we are really moving very fast. Thank you for sending your 10 bob, your 1,000, your 100, your 3,000 for what you've done. What tunasema in this channel, kidogo kidogo hujaza kibaba. We've done this before and we'll do it. This is where the building is. Today was Sunday, so they did not work. But tomorrow, they are actually resuming. And as I said, what I was fundraising for this weekend is to make sure we get enough money for the roofing so that tomorrow, the next time I come in the screens, I should come to remind you probably about the windows and the other things. And now for us to achieve that, the only deficit remaining out of the 90,000 that we needed for roofing is 26,000. We can pull this before because I've agreed with David and the fundis on ground that on Tuesday, nataka waweke the roofing. So we had the deficit of mabati, mbao, msumari, and the other things that were needed. So your support will come a long way in making sure that this is a reality. And thank you for supporting. Iyo kidogo usione ni kidogo, kwa sababu iyo kidogo tukiongeza na ile ingine na wale wengine tukisanya kwamba tutaweza kufikisha to make sure that this project is a success.
On first born yakwa etagwo Nyambura niwe wetagwo Zieta one Danieli Njoroge niwe second born na heo mutari kuo tafadhali mundeithie gwaka na Ngai nĩakũmũrathima. Yes, now.
Yesterday, UDA was full-blown against former president, and throughout their speeches all over the country, they were attacking one man, Uhuru Kenyatta, reminding him that probably according to them, William Ruto had a better record than him. And in that, another move that really shocked the country, the only leader that came out to attack former president was Minor Commander in a speech that I want us to look at here that now did not go well.
Twenda kura cia Gikuyu umuthi ni ambe athie hoe rutha kuri Gachagua umuthi tondu Uhuru witu riu ni mundu makura matinaga rwiko ona tani kura zitarethi kithikuina.
The plan was, if Minor Commander, we understand within my UDA sources are telling me that the speech from Minor Commander was not sanctioned by the DCP party It was not a position of the party, despite the fact that he's a senior member of the party, and he actually gave out his opinion. You'll understand that DCP has been maintaining their stand that they cannot have another enemy if that enemy is not William Samoei Arap Ruto. And by the way, guys, before we even move further in this podcast, the mass voter registration is starting tomorrow, 29th, going through the month. As I said, remember, our parents have been bribed by a lot of money that is being dished left, right, and center. The people that can actually inject change and the reason in the 2027 vote is both you and I. And so, take a step to register as a voter. The more we have many new voters there, will actually supersede the other numbers that have been bribed by the political class that we have. So let's inject in new voters by making sure that you actually register as a voter. And as I was saying, the position was very clear. And even if you listen to Malala, he was taking on any other person that he believed, including Ndindi Nyoro, was actually working on state payroll.
Mumeona kuna mandugu zangu wengine hapa wakiulizwa wapeane mwelekeo wa kisiasa, wanasema unajua hii GDP ya Kenya, hii GDP imepanda, wakiambiwa sasa wewe utuambie wewe ni one term or two term, wanasema you know the debt, the foreign debt, hii deni ya Kenya, wanaambiwa hapana ni one term ama two term, wanasema unajua treasury if miss, unajua sasa mambo inakuwa hatuelewani. We must start dealing with such people precisely. Na msiogope kuwataja, ndio wakuje laini. Wamekonga na sisi, kumbe hao ndio spy kule kungine, si ndio? Msiogope kuwataja, because hao ndio watu wanakuja kutumika.
Now, I know it's almost raining, guys, but I will just try to rush through this. And today I listened to the first speech public appearance by Regathi Gachagua in Kajiado. In speaking to the crowd, he actually took a direct swipe at William Ruto, choosing his line of thought that the only person he can address, the only enemy, the only person needs to talk to is William Ruto.
Ameharibu hospitali. Nani ameiba mashamba ya Wamasai? Ni mwizi chini. Tutoe mmoja wetu wa kupambana na Kasongo. Tumekubaliana? Watu wetu tukisema ni Eugene wa Marwa. Tukiamua ni Kalonzo Musyoka, mtampigia kura? Mtampigia? Je, tukiamua ni Rigathi? Tukiamua ni Rigathi? Kwanza mkiamua polisi wasaidiwe. Polisi wasaidiwe. Upandishe. Kama haitawezekana, msiongeleshwe na Kasongo kabla ya kupokea pesa mbele. Kwa sababu mtaenda kudanganywa. Na unajua kusikiza uongo ni kitu ambaye inaumiza masikio ya mtu. Sasa msikize uongo mkiwa na pesa kwa mfuko. Mkikubali hawa wabunge atiwachukulie nyinyi pesa ati mtapata baadaye, itakatwa. So mwambie Kasongo, before you talk to us as the people of Kajiado, tupewe pesa yetu tuweke kwa mfuko. Na ukitupatia 10,000, we give you 1 hour, utudanganye tuende nyumbani. Si ndio? Kwa sababu kuongelesha watu masaa 5 kama walimu walienda pale, walifika midnight, wakaketi mpaka the following day saa 10 usiku wakingoja pesa. Walimu watu wako na degree na madiploma wamekaa pale siku karibu 3 wakingoja pesa. Sasa nyinyi watu ya Kajiado mchanuke. Na msipeane kitambulisho. Hii kitambulisho inafanywa scanning. Utaweza pata jina yako imeondolewa kwa voters register ama title deed yako imebadilishwa. Msipeane kitambulisho. Tumekubaliana? Don't give your ID. Na watu wachukue pesa pale kwa mlango. Si ndio? Tunataka wewe William Ruto upange GSU pale kwa mlango ya State House. Usisumbue watu ati wapate pesa baadaye na alphabet. Hiyo ni kupotezea watu wakati. Uweke pesa hapo na magunia hapo kwa mlango. Hawa Masai wakiingia, kila mtu 10,000 anaingia ndani. Mama 10,000 anaingia wapi? Umebadilisha. Lakini sio kama atakubali kubadilisha hii Kasongo. Amenyolewa na Wakenya, pesa imeanza kupungua. Sasa kama ni 10, kama uchukue pesa kwa mlango. Mkifika pale baada ya maombi, you give him 1 hour. Amudanganye, housing nini ile uongo yake, muamuke mwende nyumbani.
And on this one, I listened to that speech and I think Rigathi has the language. Rigathi has the substance to deviate, or rather to tell the masses on exposing William Ruto. In another interesting take, he's actually talking about a plan for Rigathi William Ruto to make sure that Kalonzo Musyoka is not part of the opposition, and that is part of the wider scheme to ensure that probably he gets re-election.
Ameambiwa vile ulipoteza kura ya mlima, the only formula available to you ni utafute Kalonzo. Ukiwa na Kalonzo unaweza ngangana uone kama unaweza vita, lakini pia ni kibarua. Lakini bila Kalonzo, bila Rigathi, wewe ni mtu ya kwenda nyumbani. Sasa wamekuwa wakitumania huyu Kalonzo, atafutiwe pesa sijui nini. Kalonzo hawezi kubali. Lakini hata Kalonzo akikubali akuwe deputy ya Ruto, si akiingia atatoa pesa akuwe impeached. Hii Ruto kuna mtu anaweza muamini Kenya? Hii Ruto kuna mtu anaweza muamini? Sasa mimi nimpatia kura milioni 4. Amelipa watu wamenifukuza. Kuna mtu iko na kichwa mzuri anaweza kubali kuwa deputy ya Ruto? Yeye ni mtu hawezi aminika by anybody. And let me confirm to the people of Kenya. I have sat down with my brother Kalonzo. Kalonzo will stand with the people of Kenya to the end.
So actually, you will understand, actually, the only person Rigathi is talking to is Ruto and Raila. And this is the tragedy. I analyzed to you that there was a problem and they only talk about it. So guys, I've been forced to change. I was shooting outside, but it started raining. So that's why I had to move inside so that I actually finish the podcast. And I would want us to look at a very interesting fact in this. After Uhuru Kenyatta's speech, the opinion was divided that probably Uhuru Kenyatta is working in cahoot to make sure that he divides opposition to hand William Ruto a second term smoothly. Now, when I listened to the speech by all the leaders in Kajiado, there was Kalonzo Musyoka, there was Eugene Wamalwa, and Regathi Gachagua, except Matiang'i was not present there. And it's a very clear pointer that at this point, really, the opposition must decide. They must put their house in order. If Matiang'i is not part of it, it's there. If Rigathi is not part of it, they must really assure what is it. And Rigathi was actually putting it clearly. And in his speech, he actually mentioned about the leaders who he feels might not and will not betray the people of Kenya. In his assurance, he's really putting it very clear that the enemy is not Uhuru Kenyatta and the enemy is William Ruto. I think there is something that comes out clearly. You know, Regathi Gachagua, the understanding was that both UDA and DCP axis would actually attack former President Uhuru Kenyatta. But he's really pulled out of that and actually has picked a tagline as clamping together Raila Odinga and William Ruto.
Na msikuwe confused na hii maneno ya Raila kusema hatujatoa candidate nini. Huyu mzee ni mjaja sana. Pale kwa Ruto ametengeneza group mbili. 2 groups. Ni mzee mjaja. Ni mzee lakini ni mjaja. Group moja ni ya kutoa pesa kwa Ruto. Ile akina Junet kumusifu broad base nini ndio pesa itoke na viti na ile mambo wamehaidana na Ruto. Na kwa sababu anajua Ruto pia ni conman, hawezi timiza ile mmekubaliana, ameuda grupu ingine ya kina Sifuna ya kupiga kelele. Ndio ile maneno wamekubaliana na Ruto wafanye nini? Sasa hii umeona akisema ati hawajaamua kama ODM itasimamisha mtu, ni cheki yake ilikuwa imechelewa. Sasa imetoka, si amenyamaza? Si amenyamaza? Hiyo ndio mchezo Raila anafanya pale. Ako na 2 teams. But I want to confirm Ruto amesema. Na aliniambia mimi nikiwa naibu wake. Hii mzee anaitwa Raila ni mtu ya pesa. Nikiwa na pesa atafanya vile mimi nataka. It has come to pass. Huyu mzee atakuwa na Ruto. Ruto atamlipa, watakuwa pamoja. Lakini ni mzuri so that the people of Kenya can deal with William Ruto and Raila together, one touch, tumaliza na shida ya Kenya. Si ndio? Na hata huyu Raila akija kwetu, akuje kule nyuma atupigie kura. Sisi hatutaki akuje atusumbue. Na sisi hatuna pesa ya kupatia yeye. Sijui kama Kalonzo wewe uko na pesa ya kupea hii Raila. Hii mtu ni muhitaji ya pesa. I don't know kama kiongozi uko na pesa, ujitayarishe utampatia. Mimi sina. I have no money to give him. Yeah. Sasa.
Now that is the voice for 2027 general election, and it is very dangerous for Odinga. I remember the other day I analyzed here that when there was a land problem in Kajiado, Raila stays in Karen, Raila's residence was raided by some people. Raila's residence was raided by people who actually picked it right on what they think was it. So you understand that what has actually happened is both the people that are being framed as the hate object is Ruto and Raila clumped together. Even if you listen to Kalonzo's speech, that comes out more clearly when Kalonzo is making his point. So, guys, I wanted to look at it this way. The two aspects, or the two objectives of clumping both Ruto and Raila in one corner, as the guys, and I think now you can see Regathi Gachagua really sanitizing, Kalonzo Musyoka. They're clumping the two gentlemen in a corner for some two objectives. Number one, they really want to create us versus them, and us versus them is in the sense that, you know, Odinga has announced that he wants to come out. In any case, Odinga will come out to vie for presidency. I think I did that analysis and I said, it is not just about vying. It is about optimism in the voter. The objective should be probably to get government or to win that election. Is Odinga a candidate, you know, profiling or packaging himself to be the next president? The answer is no. So that is where Regathi Gachagua wants to tap. And he wants to ensure that even if Odinga walks out of Ruto deal to try to rebrand himself as a presidential candidate, it will not, probably that will not see the order of the day. At this point, let me read a reaction from Moses Kuria. Moses Kuria just made some political observation that I want us to revisit just for a minute here, because it really captures something that I want us to look at in terms of the 2027 general election. Actually, he said that the way things stand, no one would actually get the presidential election will be decided in a rerun. Let me just look at it here, because that is a poster. So yes, this is here. In 2027, for the first time, the winner of the presidential election will be decided in a runoff. There will be no outright winner in the first round. So this is it. And this is why Rigathi and the team still want to maintain the politics to be us versus them, two camps. Because anyone in the middle here pushing that, remember the narrative of the rerun, is to make sure that probably in a rerun, coalitions are formed and Ruto buys everyone or the other opponents and election takes that angle. So that is one aspect that is playing out. Now, but then you would understand, why do you think that Regathi Gachagua has charged his team to withdraw and the whole opposition are not going after Uhuru Kenyatta for that? Because that was the trap, that, you know, you did to attack Uhuru, and because Uhuru Kenyatta has plucked probably Matengi from that side, it would actually work in their favor. They can only be based on these three main reasons, in my observations. DCP party, actually they were not even, those MPs were not even allowed to speak. They did not speak in that event. And those who spoke in different events, They have pulled out of that strategy or that euphoria that was being created to make sure that they attack former President Uhuru Kenyatta. It is number one, Rigathi would not want to wage a contest, a Mount Kenya contest, based on personalities between him and William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta. The Mount Kenya contest in 2027 should not and cannot be reduced to a supremacy contest between the two, because there is a possibility that Rigathi might not even be on the ballot. So the only contest is Mount Kenya to choose based on 1 term or 2 term. Even if, so long as Uhuru Kenyatta is speaking 2 term, he might not augur well with the masses. And if Uhuru Kenyatta joins 1 term, it doesn't matter on who is. Remember, there will be no contest between Rigathi and Uhuru if both of them are speaking 2 term, if both of them are speaking 1 term, irrespective of who you support. So I think that is one aspect that the Kenya Kwanza wanted to create. And, you know, they attack Uhuru Kenyatta. Then from that point, even Regathi Gachagua would then attack and push out Uhuru Kenyatta from that. And then from there, they would actually say that Uhuru Kenyatta is attacking his tribesmen. So that is why Regathi Gachagua is attacking his tribesmen. So that is one of the reasons. Number two, if there is something that Uhuru brings in an election, especially in the next general election, this is the resource mobilization. This is a big thing lacking, and it's a challenge, inadequacies that Kenya Kwanza is facing. And I think that is why they can also not go against that. The other last thing is, I think the united opposition has not ruled out Matiang'i candidature. And if you still believe on Matiang'i candidature, then you would understand at this point, it is still too early. And as I told you, that a reconciliation was being mooted between Uhuru Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you. That is my take. Let's meet in the next. Kindly support our objective. I had to change venue and shoot inside kwa sababu huko nje kulianza kunyesha. Thank you.